Let's start with a breaking update coming in. As far as the shutdown in the United States is concerned, we're learning that a deal has been reached to reopen the U.S. government through January, possibly ending the shutdown. President Donald Trump has said, and I quote, "It looks like we are getting very close to the shutdown ending as a new bill has been drafted to fund the U.S. government through January 30th. So this is a big breaking update that we are getting for you as far as the U.S. shutdown is concerned, which lasted over 40 days. We're learning that it seems to be nearing its end. And this is what U.S. President Donald Trump has announced. And this comes as the Senate deal has been reached to fund the government through January 30th. Remember, 5 days back on the day 36 of the government shutdown, it has been the longest U.S. shutdown in the history of the United States. And now a big statement that has come in from Donald Trump. He has said, and I quote, "It looks like we are getting very close to the shutdown ending." Let me go across to consulting editor Srinjoy Chaudhary for more on this. This shutdown has been the longest one in the history of the United States. Are we nearing a breakthrough now?
This has affected over 300 million people, and very badly in some cases, because a lot of people have lost their jobs, a lot of activities have stopped, there have been problems. Now the question is, if President Trump is saying that shutdown is ending, it means a compromise from the original budget bill that President Trump came up with, which called for serious cuts in development expenditure, in health, in other medical facilities, in food stamps, in education, things like that, and also cuts in tax liabilities of the very rich. Now, has that happened? Has there been a compromise? That is not something President Trump has spoken about, but you would imagine that the Democrats who was standing their ground on the budget have decided that, well, there has to be something to be done, because largely the people of America were blaming the Trump administration for it. But for this to happen, for a compromise, for the budget, for this shutdown to get to end, there would have to be a compromise. Now, what we don't know is what the compromise has been, who has given up on what. That is something we'd have to find out.
Absolutely, and we're learning that the Senate deal has been reached. Could you elaborate on this? Because as you rightly pointed out, this was not normal and it affected millions of people there in the United States. Tell us more about the Senate deal that we're learning has been reached now.
Well, first of all, the important thing is what troubles did it cause? It ensured that national parks closed down, for instance. It ensured that people lost their jobs, for instance. It ensured that other problems, the national government would not function. That was what it caused. Now, why did it happen? It happened because Trump's budget was very drastic according to the Democrats. And the 4 or 5 Democrats needed to vote on it. Now, there has to be a compromise. The question is, what has Trump given up on? Has he said that, no, the cuts in, let's say, health expenditure, on food stamps, stuff like that, will not happen? Or have the Democrats accepted the fact that there will be these drastic cuts in developmental expenditure, and the fact that huge cuts for on the incomes of the rich will go through? Now, Trump has not said what the actual compromise has been, if there has been one. So we will have to wait for him to clarify, or anyone else in the American government or the Democratic Party to clarify what exactly the compromise was.
Absolutely, it remains to be seen what really led to this. But for the clarity of viewers, Srinjoy, those who are sitting in India and those who want to understand what really happened in the United States, could you explain to us what really caused the U.S. shutdown that lasted for 40 days? We're learning that it is now nearing a breakthrough.
Yes, it's a very simple thing. President Trump wanted a budget, and his budget bill was so drastic that the Democrats who needed to clear it were very perturbed. This was a political difference between the Trump government, the Republicans, and the Democrat opposition. Now, basically, the Republicans control both the House of Representatives and the Senate. But for this a bill to go through, some Democratic support was necessary in the Senate. Now, that was not forthcoming. Why wasn't it forthcoming? Because Trump's bill was very drastic, according to the Democrats. Why was it drastic? Because, number one, it cut taxes. It cut taxes on the rich, and that benefited only 1% or 1% of the population, according to the Democrats. Then, what harm did it do, according to the Democrats? Well, to try and balance the budget, or quote unquote, what Trump did was to cut benefits like food stamps for the poor, health facilities for the poor, things like that. That the Democrats said was not acceptable. So the shutdown continued, and largely the Trump administration was being blamed for the shutdown.
Absolutely. What compromise has been reached is something that needs to be seen. But stay on with us. Let's explain to our viewers what has caused the U.S. shutdown. Let's take you through the reasons one by one. The first reason is that the short-term funding bill was not passed, and that led to the U.S. shutdown. Let's take you through the reason number two. The Democrats blocked the funding package. This is reason number two as to why and what has really caused the U.S. shutdown. Disagreement over the healthcare funding is another reason that led to the U.S. shutdown. That has entered day 40 today. Let's tell you the impact that this has had over the last 40 days. As far as H-1B visas are concerned, Department of Labor funding was snapped, and the impact was that the processing, in fact, took a lot of time in the last 40 days. Let's talk about the Labor Condition Application, LCAS. Office of the Foreign Labor Certificate was also offline, and the impact was that no LCA, that is the applications, they were impacted. They impacted the H-1B visa process is what we are learning. So a lot of impact because of the government shutdown. Green card and work permits, citizenship and immigration service were open. Impact that there was no impact on the services as far as the green card and the work permits are concerned. Let's have a look at what Trump has to say as far as the U.S. government shutdown is concerned.